Hi, I'm Mrs.D Math. Today we're going to go over how to solve two-step equations and inequalities. There have been several videos over these, so if you need to go back and watch some more, you can find those linked below. But today we're just going to do some practice problems, and I hope this helps you out. So let's get started. So Dana rented a bike with a rental fee of $45 plus $7.50 per day. If she paid a total of $105, we want to know how many days did she rent the bike. Now, in this case, we don't have any signs that indicate an inequality. We just want to know how many days is going to be equal to the total fee of $105. So we don't even need to worry about the fact that it's an inequality. This is definitely going to be an equation. So we have a total of $105. We have a fee of $45 plus we have $7.50 per day. Now, if you're unsure of where your x or your variable is going to go, we need to look at the question. And the question wants to know how many days. So that means that days is our variable. We don't know how many days. We have to figure it out. But we do know it costs $7.50 per day. So this is where my variable is going to go. So I have $7.50 per day. I'm going to write that mathematically. I'm going to also have to pay a fee of $45, and this is going to equal a total of $105. Now, it is okay that you switch the 45 and the 750, but the days, has to stay with the 750. So I could also write this 45 plus 750D is equal to 105. Those are equivalent statements. Those are interchangeable, but we're just going to go ahead and solve this one because it looks more like what we've been doing. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line there down my inequality sign. First thing I have to do is move the 45 by subtracting from both sides. So this is going to be zeroed out. So now I have 750D equals 105 minus 45, which is 60. Then I'm going to have to divide both sides by 750. And yes, you don't have to have that zero on the end, but since we're dealing with money, we're going to go ahead and just keep it. So now I have to figure out what D equals by dividing. So I'm going to divide 60 by 750. If you need to go back and review the dividing with decimals video, I'm going to put the top number in the box. And in this case, I'm going to drop my zero just to make this easier. I do have to make the outside number a whole number, and whatever I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So I'm going to move that decimal over one place to the right. So now essentially I'm actually solving 600 divided by 75. I think it's 8. I'm going to go ahead and try that. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 4 is 60. So it does end up being 8 days that she rents the bike. So now we have Sean, and Sean has $1,500 in his savings. He's going to withdraw, which means he's going to take out $40 a week for gas. How many weeks will it take for him to have less than $940 in his account? So here's my inequality words. This means that we don't want to know when he has $940 in his account. We want to know when he has less than. Okay, so now we're going to start with $1,500. I need to figure out my variable. So the question says how many weeks. So I know weeks is my variable. I'm going to put a W for that. And week, $40 a week is with the 40. So that's where my W goes. And in this case, he starts with $1,500. He's going to subtract $40 per week. And we want to know when he has less than $940. So a lot of times setting these up, as soon as you know which one your variable goes with, is going to be pretty much just writing mathematically what the problem is telling you. So now, I don't want to move this 40 per week because I've got to move that last. That's with the variable. So I'm going to have to move this 1,500 first. And in order to move 1,500, I've got to subtract that from both sides. So this makes 0. So now negative 40W is less than 940 minus 1,500, which is going to be a negative 560. I do have to subtract those just like I would any number. I got to put the 1500 on top, even though it's negative, in order to subtract. But because the 1500 is negative and it's bigger, my answer is going to be a negative 560. Now we're going to have to divide by negative 40. So now, if you remember, when I divide by a negative, I have to inverse my inequality. I have to flip my sign. So now I'm dividing 560, and I'm going to switch this to positive. I know it's going to end up being a positive because we have a negative divided by a negative. Now I have to figure out how many weeks that is. So 40 goes into 56 one time. So now I have 14 weeks. So that means that in order to have 940 in his account, it has to be more than 14 weeks. So W, the weeks, has to be greater than 14. So what this means is once I get to week 14, at the end of week 14, I'm going to actually have less than 940 in my account. And any week after that, it's going to just keep going down. So you notice we had to flip our inequality. Weeks is not going to be greater than an answer because we want to know when we have less than $940. So W, the weeks, has to be more than 14. So sometimes deciding whether you flip your inequality sign or not in a word problem is going to depend on the situation. We know that if this was the weeks would have to be less than 14, that wouldn't make any sense because he's spending money, he's taking it out of his account. So obviously after so many weeks, we want to know when he has less than $940. I hope this video helped you in practicing solving two-step equations and inequalities. Remember, you can always go back and check your answer by plugging it in. You can use a number line when it comes to inequalities to make it easier to visualize what would go where. But if you still need more practice, you can go back and watch some more of the other videos. I'm Mrs. D Math. Thanks for joining me on how to solve two-step equations and inequalities in 7th grade math. Have a great day. Bye.